Let's do this. We have any old school juggalos in here? Two whoops right back at you. Let's just bring them on out. Let's bring out Abbyss and his co-creator on this, Ryan. Come on out, fellas. Let's talk. Gentlemen, come on down. Don't be shy. Here we go. That's later. That's after hours. What's going on, gentlemen? Ryan, if you could, let's start with you, actually, because I know a lot of folks here in the room know Alex, so we're going to be talking to him plenty. But Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself and how the two of you got acquainted.
So I'm an illustrator, cartoonist from Pontiac, and I've been making comics for over 10 years, and met Alex through Dirk Manning, a mutual friend, and we hooked up, had a great idea, and so we've been working together.
And we're going to go backwards because I love doing origin stories, and especially someone who has so much more and so much history with this thing that we all love. But let's talk about right now first. Tell us a little bit about what we just saw in this presentation you put together for Astronomicon 7.
I'm recording this.
Either way, both of you.
Okay, first off, I want to give a big shout out to the entire Astronomicon crowd and also all the ninjas in the house. Much love and much appreciation for coming out. So what you see there is highlights of the book, which is Chivalrous Arts, which is making its world premiere right here at Astronomicon. Ryan, those are all art depictions from his books. And I had a buddy of mine went ahead and animated it and pieced it all together. And then I had another buddy of mine that has a professional rock band out in Cali do the music. And it all just came together as like a little dope promotional piece. And as you know, I have quite extensive background in music. So like not everybody comes out with a video for a graphic novel. But for me, it made sense. I also came out with a single too. So there you go.
A multimedia project, one might say.
Yeah, I would concur with that. That's correct. Yes.
So let's go all the way back. Let's talk about Alex. I'm super fascinated to learn more about what first got you into music. What was the first music that you heard where you were like, not only is this something I love, but this is something I need to participate in. I want to create. I want to be behind the scenes. I want to do something. I want to be involved. What got you hooked?
So. I guess I'm gonna date myself like way back in the day, but like way back in the day, I would say like the one album that it was just like, you know, this would be the coolest thing to be like in the music scene has to probably be like NWA Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah. Express yourself, don't date yourself.
Yeah. So yeah.
Back when Dr. Dre didn't smoke weed and he bragged about it.
Yeah, chronic, all that. Yeah, so you know those records that came out in the really late '90s. I'm sorry, late '80s. Yeah, those are just some of the ones that were just like, you know, this would be, you know, a very fucking fun industry to be involved with. And then when I had a chance to get involved with it, you know, I went for it, and you know, here we are 30 years later, things are still going strong and well.
Hell yeah. So let's talk about some of those early steps into, I mean, you know, I wouldn't even call it the elephant in the room. I mean, obviously we all know we should talk about Psychopathic Records. I mean, y'all do know about this man's contribution to the whole culture, right? Let's talk about those early days of doing it. I mean, because you came up in an era, now like so many people are independent and there's so much access to distribution and production, and things are a lot more accessible. If you want to make a record, it's a lot easier, a lot cheaper to make a record and to put it out, and for everyone in the world to be able to get it. But you came up in an era where it was like, basically you sign to a major label, you get discovered, or nothing happens.
Right.
And yet you have that mentality more of like, we're gonna make it happen.
Oh, that's because they still call it FedEx office, but they used to call it Kinko's. what you can do, if you can steal one of the copy cards, because they don't know what's going on, that thing can hold up to like 10,000 copies. And you just make a bunch of flyers. And then once you have this like 10,000 flyers, you just start spreading it around at like all the hip, in effect, concerts and clubs or whatever. And
There was no
and bars.
social media. There was nowhere to like.
No, you have to grind every fucking one flyer at a time, and one flyer at a time. And yeah, it definitely does work. But that was the old way. The new way now, you just throw some video with a catchy hook on TikTok, and next thing you know, you got like 10 million fucking followers. Yeah, the world is just completely changed.
But you also got 10 million other people doing it at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, flyers, and we all know the stories about, going and buying your own records from the record store, so it would look like it was doing well, and the record store would order more, and, all the stuff that you had to do to hustle in the early days. What were some of the biggest challenges of coming at it from the independent angle and trying to build something?
Well, so you gotta sit there and beg some piece of shit distributor to like pick up your records, and then it's just like, okay, cool. Hey, we sold 5,000. Okay, great. So then they'll like send us another 5,000. Like, well, what am I getting paid for that last 5,000? Oh, we're not 30, we're not 60, we're almost there, and we missed the billing cycle by a day. It's like, okay, so then you send them.
We might have to return like 10 of those back to you.
Right, exactly. So then you send them another 5,000. And that's just like, okay, good, those sold now. Can we get paid for the first time? It's like, oh, hold on, wait a minute. We got a bunch of returns. So next thing you know, it's just like Nigerian Prince scam, where it's just like all of a sudden, like to free the $155 million, you just got to spend another $40,000 to pay the taxes, and then everything will come through, and you'll get the check for $155 million. So we had some of these fucking guys out there. It was just like, either have no distribution or literally have distribution where they're like taking all the fucking money. And that happened. And the company's out of Chicago, and their last name has a vowel at the end, and I'm not gonna say anymore because they was definitely some OG gangsters with it.
Vowel at the end, like soprano or Gotti.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they might still be around, so I'm not gonna name any names.
What part of the boot you from, honey? And that was, but that was the racket. That was the way that it ran, not just with a particular distributor, but with all the distributors and the one-stops and all the things that they used to have to get into indie record stores, never mind chains. Like you said, they would do net 90, net 120, or they would do, what they call reserves, because we might ship some back to you.
Right, 20% reserves, because we might get 0.5% fucking back defective.
A lot of funny money and a lot of
another example that I will give you. They were called Motor City Distribution, right here in Detroit, and they went out. They just were like, we filed for bankruptcy. They owed us like 27,000. So I'm like, all right, fuck those guys. We'll never get that money again. The very next week, I get a phone call from them. They're like, we need, 5,000. I'm like, you guys just went back. They're like, no, that was Motor City Distribution. We're Advanced Motor City Distribution. Like, Advanced. Oh, so that's, okay, got it. So that's the hustle. You fucking take all the funds, fucking parlay them up, max out the credit, go bankruptcy, fold down the company, and then reopen the exact same fucking thing, shift over the personnel, and the scam fucking continues. So I was like, no. I was like, it's good to know that you're more advanced than the basic Motor City Distribution, but I'm not down. So that was it.
Yeah. I don't mind telling this story either and naming names, but I don't know if anybody in here was into metalcore in like the early 2000s. But I used to manage a couple of bands that were on a label called Trustkill, ironic name. And Trustkill did the old maneuver where they took big advances. They took a big advance from Sony as a distributor, and then got into a lot of debt, and then took another advance and moved distribution over to Universal, and they were supposed to be paying back the Sony debt, as I understand it, allegedly. I don't know that ever happened, but I do know that I managed the two biggest bands on the label, and there were many years where not only were we not getting paid, they weren't even sending accounting statements to even show us why we weren't getting paid. And then the label went bankrupt. But when you went to Trustkill.com, it would redirect you to BulletTooth.com, which was a brand new label that had all the same bands that used to be on Trustkill that hadn't sued or been in a fight or gotten out of their contract somehow. And yeah, that was my first lesson in like, oh, the exact same dude can just go bankrupt, owing everybody millions of dollars, and just start a new thing.
You know the funniest shit, Ryan, is like basically the bit that I knew about you is that just like you're this like bomb ass like MCs like / host. I didn't realize about all this like music management because I'm talking to you. I'm like, man, this motherfucker knows he knows a lot about my industry. I don't understand.
This, little that, yeah. Little this, little that.
So you know everything.
And then the rights for all that shit shifts around too, where it's like one of the distributors says, well, we should own these records now because dude closed down owing us money. And the band says, well, what about us? They're our records. We made them, shouldn't we have them? And then they change hands and this and this and that. And somehow with that Trustkill story, Trustkill's a label again now, 20 years after all that happened. So, there's like shady shenanigans that go on, and there's a lot of laws that protect the wrong people, it seems like, as opposed to the people who actually make the art. And bringing us back to those early days of hustling and building up Psychopathic, when did it take a turn from like, okay, this is a label that is ostensibly established to put out one particular act? When did that then first get the idea to expand, like we're going to sign other artists and it's going to be bigger than just one artist?
Right, so from day one, expansion was always part of the plan. But it's just like, you gotta like get something going, like almost the same thing now with my comic company, Alchemist Elites. I'm starting with Chivalrous Arts, but and I just added Amazon distribution worldwide, and I just got to deal with Diamond to get the books.
Diamond, for those of you who maybe aren't comic book heads, that's like the distributor.
Right, exactly. And we try to build it up, but eventually, like next year at this time, hopefully, if I'm here for like Astro 8, and I've got at least a couple books out, and my shit's taking off, I might be at the point where I'm talking to various like artists and writers and other people that are like, hey man, I've been wanting to get in the industry, or like, hey Alex, I got these like really good ideas, but I could need some help. Would you consider doing a partnership with me or writing something together? And be like, yeah, let me look at what you got, and let's fucking get into it, start an email chain going, or however we're gonna do it, text chain, and see. So this is the same thing, just as this, my new baby, Alchemist Elite, is gonna go from just my title to just whatever other titles that I can get. And that's a whole different conversation. If we had another hour for it, it's like how low I feel the current state of fucking pop entertainment is in this country. Like just some of my all-time favorite titles that they just kind of like smashed like into the ground and completely like pissed on. So I just couldn't take it anymore. So I'm like, let me just start fucking writing some good shit. And I know there's other people out there that are just as good as me, if not better, that they just need someone, to give them a chance to get their shit out there. So, I would feel that I would like to help with that. But then to take it full circle, back to Psychopathic, year 1, year 2, year 3, the plan was always that once we got it going, good distribution and big fan base, it was always to bring on new talent and expand the roster. Yeah, that was always the plan from day one. But I mean, it just can't be like, hey, we're a local band out of Detroit, you're a local band out of Chicago. Okay, cool. You don't have distribution. We don't have distribution. It's just like you gotta have fucking something to offer, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And that's with the comic book company, is the idea then to also build like a shared universe. Like if you brought in other creators and other titles, that they would characters and stuff would exist.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, especially if I can get to the point where like I'm doing 10, 20, 30,000 a book, and be like, yeah. So at the back of the book, inside back cover is going to be an ad for your guys' shit that's coming out next month.
Yeah, just like getting the CD and the little catalog.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
Same, building the lore and all that. And that's, I mean, my favorite thing about a lot of my favorite bands, rappers, filmmakers, comic creators, is that thing where you're maybe unhappy with the current state of things in a particular genre or medium, or you wish that it was more like this or whatever, and then you just make the thing that you wish existed, right? Like you wish that there was a dope pop culture convention in Detroit, so you make Astronomicon, as opposed to just sitting around and being like, gee, I wish somebody would make the thing I want. And I always have so much respect for that. And shout out to the homie Eric July and Rippaverse, because that's a great new comic company that is born from that exact thing of like, you know, Eric was a dude on YouTube criticizing a lot of what the big comic companies were doing.
Right.
He's like, well, why don't you start one? Let's see if you can do it better. And he did. And it's blowing up.
Yeah, he's doing great.
You know, that's the way. So yeah, going back to that old mentality, you know, what was involved then in deciding like, okay, who, you know, you built this thing and you want to expand it, but you also want to protect it. What were some of the kind of qualifications or the characteristics or the things that you would look for when you were deciding, like, who were some of the artists that you wanted to bring in and that sort of thing?
Well, dude, I mean, honestly, like when it came to like, we finally came across Twisted, I mean, there was very little to discuss. Like Jamie and Paul, like, gotta be two of the top fucking MCs like out there. Even though like, you know, the sales are very, very good, but for like underground status, I mean, you can only do so much without fucking radio stations playing your shit, you know, 24/7. But yeah, I'll put those two motherfuckers up against like any rap trio or whatever. Yeah, I'll be like, all right, let's go.
Absolutely. And so when you guys encountered, you know, and obviously there were different permutations and they had their own kind of thing going, and there were a lot of ideas around, and of course acknowledging the creativity that came from the psychopathic side to help mold Twisted into what it became. And then of course the roster expands, and you know, a lot of people who are here right now. Blaze is here this weekend, ABK is here this weekend. You know, a lot of people from that culture.
Whoop.
At what point did you kind of start to realize that this was? There's a lot of labels out there, and there's a lot of, you know, you think about like the Death Row era, the Ruthless Records era before that, but that this was something different and unique in so much as it's a culture, right? Like it's a thing, it's a lifestyle. Like it's not just music, it's not just one record label even, it's not just one particular artist or two particular artists, or, you know, it really is growing into a thing where the fans, everyone says the fans are the most important, but it's like in the Juggalo culture, like it really is the fans who have superseded the artists even. When did you first get a sense that like that's like, whoa, this is something different, this isn't just a record label with a bunch of artists?
When I'd be at like various like concerts, like sometimes if the concerts would let out, I'd just be like at the door and I'd be like, man, thanks for coming, love you, Joe, thanks for coming. You know, some couple guys would give me hugs, but some guys would come up to me and they'd be like, you know, I want you to know, Alex, if it wasn't for all this shit that you guys did, I would have killed myself. And I'd be like, what? They'd be like, yeah. They're like, this is like the closest thing to a family I have. People be like, I don't have any parents or whatever. I came from an abusive home. I ran away when I was 16. It's just like, you know, the whole Juggalo scene, the music that you've created has helped me, you know, deal with my depression, and I just appreciate, you know, everything that you've done. Yeah. So it's just like, this was just an avenue for, you know, a large percentage of our society that just nobody fucking gave a fuck about, or no one was like tending to. So then we tried to do our best to be like, hey, you can have a home here with us.
Absolutely, and thank you for all of that. Let's talk about, this is some deep lore that I've been excited to get into with you. Is Twisted signing, Twisted's early record deal experiences and everything involved in that. What could you tell us about that?
So you go to New York, you go to 7th and Broadway, and you look up, and there's this tower, it's fucking, I don't know, 100 stories high. And that's where Island, Def Jam, fucking all that shit is at. And you go and there's a security guy and this or that.
And what's the Def Jam roster in this era, right? Because it's like Def Jam, you know, there's LL and Slayer once upon a time, and then of course there's like the Jay-Z era, and like what's Def Jam?
Jay-Z area. This one Jay-Z was like, was literally Big Pimpin'. So if you look out Big Pimpin', that's about the right time. Yeah. And also DMX for, it's crazy. That's, like I said, man, do we have like 3 hours? I guess we only got this hour because like, Yeah, because like we could sit there and talk about. There was a time where you would argue is DMX bigger than Jay
Absolutely.
Z,
And
it's
DMX was just #1 record after #1 record.
right.
And he's got a new song out with Five Finger Death Punch. I don't know if anybody has heard that, but posthumously still spitting.
So you just go up there and you get through security, go up there, and then all of a sudden you wait, and I'm sitting there dealing with Leor Cohen's assistant, and she's just like, okay, let me hear what you got. Leor's busy. I was like, oh man, okay. So I'm like, hey, check this out. And I played for her, die motherfucker, die. And just like, let's see if I can some of the lyrics. Smoke too many cigarettes, get high too much.
Just made for the video. Just ready for the video.
Yeah, dude, yeah, that's good shit. So she was just like, damn, these guys can fucking flow. So I was like, okay. She's just like, we got Leor coming. So she brings me into the big conference room. Then Leor Cohen walks in. And sit down, talk, this or that, tell him about everything. And it's like the same thing. He's just like, play it. So it's the same thing. So I played die, motherfucker, die. And he's just sitting there.
For those who don't know, Leor Cohen is like a big fucking deal in the music
and he's just sitting there,
and
he's just bobbing his head. He's just like, Alex, you got some good shit. But he's just like, this is quite a bit of money you're asking here for your boys. And I'm just like, well, they're good. And, I'm representing. If I'm representing, I'm trying to get what I'm trying to get. So he's just like, we're going to have to put the big dog on the phone, even though he's in semi-retirement. I was like, you mean Mr. Simmons? He's just like, yeah. So he called him up, and he put him on speakerphone, and he played die, motherfucker, die,
and
motherfucker,
Russell Simmons is there with his meditation beat. It's all like spiritual and then
So then he picks up the phone after he hears it, and as he's hanging up, all I hear is, yeah, it's good, but sign him for less. That right. So then me and Leo are starting negotiating the price back and forth, and then we finally come to terms, and it was done. And the next week, my attorney gets a contract this big, and then you're a manager, bro, so you know this shit. Then you just sit there and your attorney's just like, fucking page 17, they're fucking you. Page 33, you're fucking you. Page 88, they're fucking you. And just like, okay, well, get rid of that shit.
Yeah.
And so then they'll go and
you also know from the label side where there's the things where it's like, well, the label's investing this, so they're trying to protect themselves against that. It's like,
right, exactly. But
everyone's the hero of their own story.
But as a fellow manager, then there's like 8 different formulas they can have you recoup your fucking advance, and there's one way that completely fucking sucks ass, or they just hold back massive returns, and basically every possible bone you take and they take no bones. So we were trying to do none of those types of shit fucking contracts. So then basically after a month, he's just like, my attorney's like, look, we got rid of bone A, which was your main bone, and we couldn't get rid of bone B, but we got rid of C and D. And he's just like, do you want to battle for another month or this or that? And we talked to the guys. And rappers are just like, hell no, just get it signed. It's just like,
I want to be on a record.
right. We want to get this going. We want to get this record out. So we got it signed like a month later, and the rest is history, man.
So funny.
Yeah.
Good times.
Wow. I was just, what a story. I mean, even just that idea of being in that tower at that time is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy shit. Let's talk a little bit about. I'm just looking at the time. We got to talk about the gathering. We got to talk about the gathering just becoming a thing.
I don't know.
And there's a reputation. I think a lot of it's hyperbole at this point, and people who are way outside of the culture who just have maybe a casual understanding of it. They think that it's like lawless and crazy, and people are just you might go to the gathering and disappear and never be seen again. But obviously, people who have experienced it know that it's not insane. What were some of those early experiences like of putting that together and having to deal with, police and emergency and permits and security and all that real kind of shit?
So literally everything, every fucking thing leading up to the gathering sucks fucking ass. It's such a pain in the fucking ass. Police sweating you, fire department sweating you, fucking threats of fucking litigation, lawsuits, fucking the right fucking asshole coming along, you having to buy him off, fucking to get this permit or that permit. It's just unbelievable stress. Then you get to the gathering, and then that's 3-4 days of fun, and then that's it. I mean, don't get me wrong, like the 3-4 days of fun is like well worth
fun,
it.
yeah.
But yeah, all the shit before, man, just completely, just super pain in the ass. And like, you got this location. Oh, we've lost this location. How did we lose this location? We have a contract. Well, what do you want me to do? The fucking county sheriff came by and just like, there's too many people coming in for this land mass, and we're not getting the permit, so get out.
Yeah.
and you just deal with it. Yeah.
Was there ever a time, I would imagine probably multiple, but were there times in those early days of the gathering where it just seemed like, oh, this is the last one, this is not coming back next year, we can't do this again?
Bro, the first one was almost the last one.
Yeah.
And I was in Novi, and my buddy lives with me, Patrick Jordan. He wakes me up at like 7 a.m. and he's just like, I got the Novi police chief on the line, and he needs to talk to you immediately. And it's just like, well, fuck, bro, I'm in fucking underwear. He tell him to wait a minute, and he's just like, all right, he's like, hurry up now. So I rush to get my clothes on, and I take the phone. He's like, these kids are spray painting everywhere. We got broken glass everywhere. We got fireworks going off and possibly incendiary devices. And I'm like, what's that? He's like, it's like a bomb, bro. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's like a bomb. Yeah. He's just like, and you need to come down here and chill this out within the next 30 minutes or the next 45 minutes. This shit's gonna be gone. So, you just fucking drive out there, literally fucking half fucking naked, and you go there and you're just like,
Probably get dressed first.
friendly, family, unity, love, happiness,
Want this to happen next year.
good times. And if that doesn't work, you're like, chill out, dog, chill.
And better they're hearing it from you than, a cop or whatever, fire marshal.
Oh, well, that would just make all hell break. They ain't taking it from them. That's for damn sure. Yeah.
Indeed. So was there ever a point, between managing and having the label and having the gathering and at one point having so many artists on Psychopathic and everything's rolling, and did it just feel like it had, to go from starting it, it's such a small operation, such a tight-knit few people going to Kinko's, making the flyers, did it get to a point where it was like, this is too much to deal with, there's too many mouths to feed, too many people involved, too many cooks in the kitchen? Did it ever start to feel like it was more than you wanted it to be in the beginning?
No, not really. It's just like, the train goes from like 0 miles an hour, and now you got it up to 100 miles an hour, and it's just like, it's kind of scary, but it's kind of fun. At the same time, yeah, you're okay with it,
Yeah. And those stories too, especially early on when you first have people hugging you and telling you how important Psychopathic and ICP and Twisted and everything has been for them in their lives. I would imagine that just multiplied over the years. Like, is that?
Oh yeah, it just, kept growing and growing, and then when they finally, go to like what people consider the golden age, when we were able to have like Dark Lotus and this or that, these are just like really, really like good, beautiful times. Yeah, some of the best memories I've had actually.
Indeed, and the fact that it becomes a culture that can then support so many different events, different artists, different labels, it's quite a legacy that all of you collectively sweat.
Yeah, it's
into.
just like, the Psychopathic is like a tree, and now the tree, it's still one beautiful tree, but just now it has a bunch of branches on it. Yeah, but it still all stems from the original Psychopathic tree.
Yeah, indeed. So at a certain point, you made a clean break away from the responsibilities and the liabilities and everything that comes along with being in a position in a successful label, a brand, a festival. So what made now kind of the from a creative standpoint, from a business standpoint, from a life standpoint, now's kind of the moment that you're re-emerging and we're seeing you. Here you are, here at Astro.
Right.
You know, what made you want to
So,
get going this thing with Brian and everything, the comic company?
So, I did have a couple, well, one of my lifetime goals was actually to own a video game company, and I do own one. And then, it wasn't really like a lifetime objective, but I've been GMing professionally at conventions since I was a little kid. Well, actually, I've been writing adventures since I was a little kid. I've been GMing professionally at conventions for about the last 25 years. And everybody's just like, dude, you are like the best dungeon master like I've ever played. Some people are like, man, I was having the worst, most ass convention until I played your game. It was like this is like the best game I've played in 10 years. So like your writing style is great, your villains are awesome, and there's like all this out of the box thinking. And you know, sometimes they'd be like, do you ever write? Are you a writer? This or that. And I was like, I never really thought too much about it. But honestly, like the skill set from like being a dungeon master, like if you just buy a module, then no, that's not those skills. If you sit there and you write your own adventures and your own villains and the own objectives, the skill set really translates really good to just straight up like writing. So in 2020 and 2021, because Cali was really, really ruthless on the shutdown, and my business was shut down for a year and a half. And couldn't really
Unless you were Governor Newsom, then you could go to
yeah, then that's crazy
Happy
straight.
birthday.
Yeah, then you could do anything you wanted, right?
Sorry, I'm also in California.
Oh, right.
From Indiana, but
Right on. So I sat there and I was just like, I didn't have shit else to do. So I was like, you know what, let's go for it. You know, that one great book. So I went through all my notes that I had from whatever adventures I could find from like the last 10 years. And I took like the best like plot elements and like I put them together. Like, so not the main guy that's on the cover, Umar, but the main younger kid in there, his name is Hierarch. Hierarch is the name of the first ever Marvel superheroes character that I rolled up from when I was 12 fucking years old. And I remembered that and I kept that and I put that in there. And and I just really feel that like all the plot elements, I mean, I don't want to overhype it, but I think the book is like really good. Like, I would say the only person who like might not like the book, like, because I really, really love animals like a lot, and it shows in the book. So I know this sounds crazy, but like maybe like 1 in 100 people like hates animals.
yeah.
So if you hate animals, don't buy the book.
Ted Nugent's not gonna read.
But if you got a pet cat or a pet dog, you'll really, really like the book. Yeah.
There was a dog in here in the last panel.
But yeah, it's just I'm hoping to start an entire like nerd franchise off the title. So it's not just gonna be a one and done. I got buddies that I'm working on a role play game with, and buddies that I'm working on a board game with, and Ryan's gonna do all the art for everything. And like, who knows? Like, I've done things in my life, so I know that if I can get to the point where I can get 3 graphic novels done, that I can go to Netflix and they'll actually take the lead because I've sold millions of records. And I'm sorry, it really sucks that that's how it's gotta be. So, because anyone else should be able to give them the same opportunity, but
that's
you
legacy,
know the
you know,
business.
yeah,
You know
and
how the fuck
you
it is.
sweat
Right.
for that, you know?
Right. If you don't have no cred, then they're not gonna take it. But I can walk in there, I can be like, look, man, your stock keeps going down each month because all you guys do is put out this ass shit. Here's something good. Let's get this animated.
That's your
Let's
die
go.
motherfucker die moment.
Right,
Netflix.
exactly. Or HBO Max or wherever I can go with. Yeah, but as far as like coming back, like, you know, to Astro, like even if I could choose between Astro and The Gathering to debut the book, it definitely made way more sense to debut it in Astro because this is like, it's a Juggalo con, but it's also like a pop con, it's also like a comic con. I mean,
Yeah, music,
honestly,
comics, toys, it's everything.
right, you couldn't ask for a bigger fit because like, I'll tell you what, it's like really hard, like on the really big conventions to like get booth space. Like, I had to basically break someone's arm to get in at the LA Comic Con. So then I still had a choice to drop the book at the LA Comic Con here. And I was like, there's no fucking way, no matter what, I'm dropping it at Astro.
Yeah,
Right.
hell yeah. And here we are, Astro 7.
Astro 7, y'all.
So we got movie night coming up here pretty soon. But I got a curveball question I want to throw at you first. What is Alex Abbyss listening to these days?
Oh man.
I should have warned you ahead of time.
Yeah, you should have warned me ahead of time. I don't know. Bunch of shit. I got a wide variety of stuff that I like.
Wide variety of genres.
Oh yeah, I listen to everything. Yeah. What are you listening to, Ryan?
A little bit of everything too.
Oh no, I already pulled that card. You gotta go talk.
Okay, all right. Mars Volta, Tool, stuff like that. Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. Nerd metal. Yeah. I love it. So I see the raffle contraption. I don't think I've ever seen one of those in real life, actually. Like a little bird cage. So everybody's got a raffle ticket in here. I have to say, in my skill set, raffle master is not in the resume. But I'll do my best here. We put all the raffle tickets in there and then we spin it around and pull one out, right?
Yeah. Or is it come to that time? I feel like it covers much.
I think it's about that. Well, first of all, let's talk about the prize for the raffle, which I see over there. You want to hold that up? And Ryan, you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Go ahead, Ryan. Tell me what we're looking at.
Well, which one?
We're doing both.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the first place prize and the grand prize. This is the first place prize.
Yeah, so that's the cover for the first graphic novel.
So she wants to be an Avenger.
And now we're going to show you guys the grand prize.
She doesn't want to be. She didn't choose this life.
Yeah, so this is an original
Well, you
page.
did, but-
So when I make comics, I do all the line work traditionally, and then scan it in, color it on the computer. But this is a original piece from the book.
Blood, sweat, and tears. Now check this out. If you win that, you might be tempted to sell that on eBay
I'll buy it.
for $100. Don't do it. Wait till the board game comes out. Wait till the role play game comes out. Wait till volume 2 and volume 3 comes out, and wait to see if we do get that series on Netflix. Because then instead of getting 100, you might be able to sell it in a couple of years for like a couple thousand. So it might be way more the way to go.
Remember they gave you that?
And hang that shit up in your house in the meantime.
Yeah, it's great.
All right.
Great art in the meantime.
Let's raffle some shit.
Well, they're
Ready to
giving
go?
it away right now.
I'm turning the crank.
Bring the tumbler down. Turn it.
Turn the crank.
Crank it.
Pull my name.
Crank it.
I think I'm 6.
So before I pull this
from Grandma's
ticket out,
house?
I just want to say thanks everyone for coming. If I could produce
You're
much
welcome.
more of those original, Ryan, this is your fault, bro. You should have done like an extra 100 of those, and then I could hook everybody up in here. So his hands
Next book,
cannot
next book.
draw and produce enough art, so that's why everyone doesn't get the benefit because of you.
It's all my fault.
Draw faster. All right. So now we're gonna. This ticket.
Somebody jumped out of
This
That's mine.
ticket. Oh, so somebody got side powers because there are side powers in that book. Okay, so here we go. This
M&E
is.
powers.
Oh my goodness. One last rotation. All right, that guy didn't get total phone. His shit was stuck in here. All right, here we go.
Oh my goodness.
They keep jumping out.
Somebody's using their telekinesis.
Yeah, no shit.
It's probably the same ticket, John.
If that was my number, I feel cheated.
Drum roll.
Okay.
And this is for our first
And
prize.
for our first place prize, we're gonna go with 1850003.
Class in the hair.
It's probably mine. I gave him to it.
Thank you.
I'll trade you.
Probably.
Just give it to me.
Shipping and handling not included.
Really careful.